I am Mason and this is my hometown, Amsterdam.
A 1, 2, 3.
I had my first DJ residency when I was 15. It was in a club called The Basement, actually in a basement. It doesn't exist anymore, luckily, because there were only prostitutes and drug dealers in there, openly. And well, I was 15 and I had to bring my own turntables and a mixer. My father built like this wooden box around it, which was really impossible to carry, especially when you're 15. And I had to mop the floor afterwards. I don't recall anyone ever dancing. And at some point they opened the door and they told me to get lost, and that was the dramatic ending of my first residency. My first Amsterdam show was here in the Paradiso. It's an old church and was quite an upgrade from the prostitute basement. I must have been like 17, somewhere in the 90s. The only thing I remember, I was like a total nervous wreck. But we had some great parties ever since here. And at some point, I was part of this party organization called Electronation, and we did like many events every weekend throughout the Netherlands and abroad. And a lot of those parties were here in this club called Sugar Factory, and we brought all our musical heroes. It was really at the uprising of electro, and it was a really exciting time for me. Also, what kind of musically led to Exceder. I think everybody's used to cycling in Amsterdam. The only thing you have to take care of are tourists, because they're not aware that there are so many people biking around them. So they walk stoned in the middle of the street. And, well, usually we're actually with 3 persons on this bike, because I have a bunch of kids. So there's usually a son over here and a son over here. And it goes absolutely fine. But if you're not used to biking, maybe don't try it at home. I've been living in this side of Amsterdam for the last 20 years or so. So I think by now I know every corner of it. The cool thing about Amsterdam is that it's still a village. It's small, it doesn't have that many people living there, so you know people, but it has everything to offer that a big metropolitan city has, let's say. Culturally, musically, it has a very alive and vibrant house music scene since the end of the 80s. I'm a big fan of bars like this. A lot of old people, alcoholics, not many young people. You only hear like the ticking of a clock inside. Yeah, at some point we're a bit bored with organizing club events. I've done shitloads of those. So we started this pub crawl where we go to 4 different bars, like these kind of hole-in-the-wall alcoholic places. 4 of those bars in one night, and we bring 300 ravers and a DJ booth on wheels, and we go into one of these bars, stage dive and rave for 1 hour, and then go to the next bar and next bar and next bar. It's called the Animal Language Cafe Rave, and it's, well, possibly my favorite party in the world. Hey guys, welcome to my house. I like to create stuff that's different from what's out there already. I don't really care too much about what's trendy or hot. I think it's important to find your own sound, your own identity in your music. I'm influenced by a lot of old music, funk, disco, and obviously a lot of house. I've been playing house for 25 years. Yeah, and I try to keep my music accessible for a larger audience while still doing it in an original way and fresh, hopefully. And also with the Frisky Biscuits album, I try to create something that's warm and fun and positive, and I think people can use some of that these days, as the world is serious enough as it is. I had the pleasure to work on the album together with vocalists such as Jim Cook and Shingi Shiniwa, Lady Sanity, Melody Man, Slang, Shania, well, a whole bunch of talented people, and it's been a real pleasure, the process. I started off as a hip-hop DJ in the 90s. I think I started DJing in '95, and I was really playing this sort of thing. I still really enjoy this kind of stuff. I still love DJing just as much as when I started 25 years ago. It's just awesome. I just love playing, whether it's for 10 people or for 10,000 people. There's nothing more fun than just to play the stuff that you like and present it to people, or the stuff that you just made in studio. Yeah, I think I want to be doing this till I'm old and wrinkled and grey and fat and bald. So let's go to my studio. So welcome to my studio, guys. I'm here literally every weekday from like 9 o'clock in the morning till evening for 15 years or something now, 20 years. Yeah, I just treat it as an office job. It's such an honor to be able to do this kind of work and make a living from it, that I want to be giving it my best. So even if I play late night sets in weekends, I'm still here every Monday in the morning. Yeah, so I work with a bit of a hybrid setup between a Mac and Logic and all sorts of analog equipment, from analog mixer and compressors to EQs. Because I really like the craft of making something sound really good, and I do realize most people don't even hear it, you know, the difference between 99% and 100%. But I enjoy it, and it's gratifying for myself to try to make it sound as good as possible. On the other hand, you really don't need all this stuff, you know? You can really make a great record with just a €200 laptop. So don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise, that you need all this fancy equipment. It's fun, but it's definitely not necessary. So here are a bunch of analog synths that I'm using. And I just got this Fender Rhodes that I really love. The sound is so nice, so I'm usually forgetting about time a lot. Oh yeah, I use this mini guitar, like if I have to do really mini guitar solos, you know, like 1 or 2 seconds maximum, like. I don't think I had the regular house DJ producer type of career. I started out as like a singer when I was 6-year-old, when I was a kid on TV. And it was in the time when there was only one TV station in the Netherlands, so it was kind of a thing, and I was there on TV a lot, singing songs. And because of it, I hang out in recording studios a lot when I was a kid. And I was really obsessed by all these big SSL mixing desks and tape reels in the back and stuff. So in the breaks, I just wanted to hang out with sound engineers, and I decided I want to be a sound engineer when I'm old. You know, one of these guys with ponytails and smelling like sort of old sweat in black shirts. And yeah, it kind of worked out. Apart from that, I didn't know that making music and writing music is even more fun. I've also been playing violin since I was young, for about 20 years. And around the millennium, I also brought it along with my DJ sets, because I was playing as a DJ worldwide already, from somewhere in the 90s. And Tiestos saw me play in Peru, and he asked me to become his violin player. So for 1 year, somewhere after the millennium, I was the violin player on Tiestos' world tour and also his warm-up DJ. But pretty soon after, I kind of left all the violin stuff at home, because it felt a bit gimmicky, and I wanted to focus on my own music, and I wanted people to hear the stuff that I make. And pretty soon after, also my own releases started to do well. I had my first release somewhere around 2004, and in 2006 I released Exceder, which was my third release really. I had no idea how all this stuff worked, but that blew up, and from that point onwards I had an audience and I could tour, and I had an audience I could also present all my other ideas to. So from that moment onwards, it was just one big touring and studio life up until today. It does help to have this sort of musical background, I suppose, because I work with a lot of other musicians in studios, also for my Frisky Biscuits album. And it's nice to be able to speak the same language as more classical trained musicians, let's say. I work a bit different from a lot of other producers in terms that I demo a lot. I sometimes have these demo weeks where I try to make like a demo per hour. So at the end of the day you have like 8 demos, and at the end of the week you have like 40, and after 2 weeks maybe 100. And then I finish only one of them, the strongest one. Just because I think a good track, the core of a good track is a good idea, a good hook, a good theme. And I much rather wait till I found that one, because you can make anything sound fat these days, you know, and it's a bit of a linear process, and I much rather save that process till I have the right idea. And I also think writing music, and being creative in general, it's like a muscle. You need to keep on training it and keep on creating, and then it flows better, and you get more great ideas, you know. That also means I have like shitloads of demos, you know. I just checked on my hard drive, and there are like more than 9,000 at the minute. And obviously most of it is crap or mediocre, you know. All the good ones I think I've worked into full tracks. But from time to time I go back to them and you know, I just listen to a few hundred demos from 2015 or 2011 and pick some elements from there that I like or think I can reuse in something for today. So I've been working on my Frisky Biscuits album for the last half year and it's finally out on Toolroom. It was really nice to work in this Corona lockdown period on something big project like this and to turn it into something productive and positive.